And do you see that the worker self-management would work in a more homogeneous setting, sort of like Cuba would be, where you don't have as much of the religious, historically religious contradictions and ethnic contradictions, whether that would have a big impact on what would happen?
Well, each region needs to develop its own forms. It's a unique culture coming out of a particularly unique culture, and in a place like Yugoslavia, which was cobbled together, and I'll have to, in parenthesis, Gabriel is literally one of the most knowledgeable people in the world on Yugoslavia and self-management. So really, any questions. Specific questions related to that, I'm going to defer to her. But in general, it certainly probably was a problem that with Yugoslavia, each area was coming out of a different ethnic tradition and also ethnic competition. So, it is the worker self-management and worker cooperatives are universal. In a general sense, they're universally applicable. But each area needs to develop their own version of it.
Maybe let Gabriel speak to that.
So it's more or less always the same questions, when what Yugoslavia is concerned, what I mean is I can answer yours as much in the same time as his. I just want to give you some critique of self-management. And a critique that refers very much to the cooperative movement as well, because you could have two factories, let's say, on the same street, doing different kind of production. But let's say the workforce, similarly educated, very well, working as much as they can, but still by world market conditions, the one would do very well, the other wouldn't. Let's say an oil refinery would always earn much more money than would be a textile factory, like it is in the world. So that's where they had to sell. So it could happen now in the extreme that on the same street, in the same region, same cultural background, everything, you could have a very rich factory where the company would invest their surplus in the infrastructure of the village or of the town, meaning the streets and so on, they would always give, if you saw a Yugoslav film, you would always get all the donations from the factories that they would give to cultural promotion. They would give money to the theaters and so on. Their workers would have holiday homes at the seaside, and the children would get grants to go to higher education, and the other workers working just as much on the other side would not have anything like that, but would perhaps work just for their social insurance and their bus fare to the dog and then what they get to eat, and the right to a flat, which was provided from the factory as well, from your workplace. You got a right on a flat that was owned by the factory. So the factory would provide housing most of the times as well. So they would have a right on housing, but never an expectation to really get one. So that would be the negative thing, and that's why I'm saying that you keep calling cooperatives social solidarity economy. That is very questionable in my opinion. It's the same in Germany again. My housing cooperative is in Frankfurt. It's doing very well. There's another housing cooperative somewhere else. The houses will not look as good as those in Frankfurt because people can pay higher rents and so on. So, but again, all of these cooperatives are giving back to the societies. As I say, the very rich factories in Yugoslavia, especially those in Bosnia, gave almost everything back to the state actually. while in Croatia already before it became independent, factories decided very often to increase the personal high income. But there was by law a limit on increasing. You couldn't have an increase in personal high income above a certain level of the average of the population. So that would be one of the critiques. What was your question, Doug? What was his question? Doug, your question was
whether it would work better in a homogeneous setting than a more diverse setting.
well, as I said, one of the advantages of cooperativism as such as well in large production units as well. For example, I know a factory in the Vojvodina where they produce the same product in 3 or 4 departments. All the departments decided to produce in a different way. They started off with production line, working on a production line fast, as the world market knows it. One of the departments decided to slow down the job. And another department had it even faster, but decided to work an hour less. Another department decided to just work in teams and try to look at if they can get the same work done. And in the end of the day, they were all equally productive. None of them did much better than the other, but they did it according to their needs. There were more women and so on. So, for example, a very good example, which I want to give you about the world market connection to inner factory work organization, is the shipyards. By the way, the shipyard industry was, before the break apart of Yugoslavia, the second largest in the world after Japan. Just by the way, Tuchman, which the whole coast belonged to Croatia, to the Republic of Croatia. Tuchman gave the shipyards away to his best friends, and they dismantled everything, sold it off, and there's no shipyard industry to speak of anymore. It is just, and they are getting loan after loan after loan, and you think so that's just on. But then, shipyard industry was doing very well and had to compete on the world market, one of the most competitive markets. So the managers of the shipyard came back home from whatever market and said, we have to work faster. You have to make 10 welding points per minute as the Japanese do. So that led to a large unrest. First the workers striked, then we won't do that. In the end of the process, there were a lot of strikes in Yugoslavia because of the big workforces. Sometimes the easiest way to first put a brake on a decision that management was doing against the will of the workers was to get into a strike, to get them straight away to the negotiation table, and which happened in this case as well. In the end, they decided to have I don't know, before it was only 5 or so welding points, they have 7, or I don't remember the name now, the number I gave before, but let's say they wanted 10, the new ones, and the old one was 5, and the workers and the management got together and arranged 7, but arranged as well to be able to compete on the world market, they would miss the next salary increase. So they would, so that is, for example, it's self-exploitation if you want to, some people say so. But on the other hand, it's a conscious decision. You know the factors. It's not some myth that somebody is very rich and the other is very poor, and we have always to work and they will always earn. But it is, you get the factors, you understand what they are on the world market, and you have to come to a decision and you make it. Same with Mondragon, by the way, in the early 80s, for the large crisis, everywhere was a high unemployment. Mondragon decided we have to streamline our industry. They had 3 years of crisis years. They proclaimed in crisis years. All the workers decided together that they will not have any wage increases for 3 years, so that no jobs get lost, and they didn't lose any jobs. Same happened to the cooperative sector in Italy. They streamlined the cooperatives. Many cooperatives went together under one roof, but they did not lose jobs. They increased the number of jobs and took over other businesses. So, is that satisfying?
Al?
First of all, let me just quickly check here before I start. Is Danny here? Danny Cameo? Okay, good. And is Mighty here? Mighty? Okay, Mighty? No, she, okay, so only, okay. So we actually only have one presenter more, so yeah. So that means we can go a little bit longer. Okay. Okay, so that means we should stop within about 12 minutes. So, okay. I just wanted to quickly comment that I was very happy that everybody talked about self-management all the time, which begins to get to the idea of the association of free producers. And there was very little use of the term market socialism. And I just want to throw out, this is just a comment, you don't even have to respond to it, you can if you want, but market socialism is a very, very vague term. Because the fundamental question is, what is the market being used for? And if the market's being used to help capital self-expand, then it's part of a capitalist system, and then of course, it's the capitalist system that's a problem. But as long as you have a division of labor, you're always going to have a market of some sort. They had it in the Soviet Union. And so the fundamental question is, do we subordinate the market to a central plan, or do we allow the market to serve the self-expansion of capital? And the reason that I mention this is because in the literature, people refer to the original model by Lange and Taylor as market socialism. That was a system entirely owned by the state. It had no profit drives in it whatsoever, and the managers were supposed to produce until marginal cost met marginal revenue. That they also referred to the stuff that came from Alex Nove later, in which they wanted private co-ops basically to pursue profits, absolutely invest it themselves, and it was a bunch of collective capitalists is what they were. Very, very different. They were both called market socialism. What came out of East Europe, starting in the 1960s, that was somewhere in between them, and Yugoslavia was different also. So I just wanted to mention on this word market socialism, which you didn't use, and I'm glad you didn't, that whenever you do use it, you have to be really careful about talking specifically what you mean. And definitely don't respond to that now, because then no one else will get a chance. Take 3 or 4 more questions.
No more questions.
Okay, let's see if are there any more questions?
Just walk up there.
Right, you got to come up here.
So that the translators can hear you.
I had read some books and articles about market socialism, and it also has some ecological socialism, give a critique about market socialism. And you refer about different kinds of markets, such as labor market and capital market. It means that different markets have different functions. So, but also I think different kinds of markets also have different, maybe they will have some contradictions. So how to distribute these different kinds of markets and to come to socialist goal? You know, socialist goal is about equality and also about solidarity? This is my first question. Second question is that because some ecological socialism give a critique of market socialism because they think that in market socialism, because market exists, it means that capital is also exists, but capital would like to pursue profit, and then if we want to pursue more profit, so I think they think that maybe our ecology will be serious. It means that maybe the climate change and also pollution will be serious. So how to deal with the contradictions between economy, ecology, and politics? These three.
Economy, ecology, and
politics. Sex.
I think we should answer that.
Okay, that'll be
Yeah,
the end then. No
it's
more
getting
questions.
too difficult anyway. Well, as I was saying, one of you had more than one question. One of them was about solidarity. I picked that up first. I wanted to show you some contradictions in the Yugoslav self-management system, but there still was a high solidarity in that system, which John pointed out already. There was that regional fund where from every region 3% of the complete income was put into the development fund, which was then redistributed into the poorest regions of the country, and mainly in productive terms, meaning that employment was created there with factories and not sort of like distributed for people. So. But again, I mean, like all the other socialist countries, Yugoslavia had free health service, very efficient free health service, so much holidays, very long maternity leave, all these benefits that the so-called planned state economies had. Yugoslavia had them as well and was able to afford that. So that's by the way. Talking about, well, Alice now, days. I mean, I was in a contribution before to the discussion, I was already mentioning that my understanding of planned economies differs from most people. I simply claim there is no planned economy, and the Cuban one is definitely one of those non-planned economies. All they do is make centralized decisions, which they think are better than anybody else's. They just respond to the markets as everyone else has to do what happens, and they will then make these decisions that are forced upon them from the outside world. They will have to make them just most of the times more inefficient than if more people were involved by doing it. I mean, one thing I think personally in Cuba, being in Cuba, we cannot emphasize more than what I think Darian perhaps was saying, I'm not sure anymore. The aspect of learning by doing is one of the most important aspects in cooperatives and was in Yugoslavia. I want to start from somebody saying the most successful entrepreneur is the one that failed before. So somebody who has already tried to put up a business, he will know next time better how to do things better. It's learning by doing. And cooperatives have a much higher survival rate because very often they are actually funded by people or founded by people who have tried on their own before and have now a bit more knowledge. In Yugoslavia, in Yugoslavia, the legal framework I think perhaps John pointed out a bit as well, the legal framework that the party and the state gave to self-management was almost always wider than what the people had been learning before. So the state had confidence in its people, that they learned by doing, and that's what they did.
If you remember the letters that Hernan Cortez, the conqueror of Mexico, sent back to the King of Spain, you would have read how amazed he was at the marketplace in Tenochtitlan. He had never seen a market as large in its brand anywhere in Europe. So it would be pretty far-fetched by any of us, or by anyone, to claim that the ancient Aztecs were a capitalist society. So markets, the exchange of goods, exchange of one person produces X, the other person produces Y, and things are exchanged all over the world since the beginning of human society. Capitalism, as we know it, is a modern system which pretends to be based upon the market, upon the free market. In truth, there is no such thing as a free market. Markets are always controlled, they're always regulated. There's in socialist countries, socialist planning with what they're calling market socialism, or it can use indirect methods for planning the economy. So to call an economy, a country socialist or economy socialist, has to have overall planning to promote social justice rather than planning to promote the accumulation of wealth among particular individuals. So it's a combination of using the best things about the market, permitting thousands of individuals to use their own creativity to create what they, to create all different not commodities, but goods and services. And what maintains it as socialism is an integration by the governmental forces.
So, this may come as a surprise, but things have changed a little bit as we go along, and I know you aren't